Good evening, everybody. This is your host, Huge Pop, from the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. This is tonight's show. Is our guest is a powerhouse and in and out of the ring, a man whose name echoes through the independent circus and tag team champions. He's one half of the legendary Heat Seekers, a multi-time tag team champion and a master technician who blends old school fundamentals into modern day intensity. He's faced legends, traveled the world. He's left his mark in promotions, NWA and New Japan Wrestling. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Sigmon, how you doing, my friend?
Doing well, man. Doing well. It is. I was telling you, I think before we started recording, it's a rainy night here in Knoxville, Tennessee. So I'm a little bit sleepy, but I've got my trusty coffee. 9 o'clock at night here, but I'm still drinking coffee. If that tells you anything.
Yes.
So yeah, good to go.
So I got a coffee cup here too, man. First of all, this guy, our guest, is going to be at this place this week, back in 2 weeks, XIW.
Love that. That's awesome.
And he's going to come. I don't know if he's no, he's not, but one of his friends from the show, he'll be there too, and it's Damian Wayne. So
hey, you can't go wrong with a D-Dub cup. That's awesome.
So I'm gonna get that off the top of their head, right off the start.
Yeah.
Tell me why Damian Wayne would call you Big Head.
Oh, hey, it's pretty simple, right? On the big head thing, I saw his little Facebook comment there earlier this week. But I have a big head, man. That's why I use a flying headbutt. I'm headbutting people constantly. Okay. You should see my baby pictures. If those circulate from time to time, I'm sure Damian's got some of them. I know David Young shares them a lot. So, but yeah, it's I got a big head and I like to use it.
All right, there you go. Big head. I had to ask that question. I showed the cup. Better add that question. So what was it like for Matt Sigmon to be a fan of pro wrestling? What was that like?
Oh man, I'm still a fan of pro wrestling. Right, that never really goes away. Growing up, I love superheroes. Big fan of Batman and Power Rangers. Whatever was kind of entertaining from a hero standpoint. And I saw pro wrestling here in the Knoxville area. We were fortunate enough to have Smoky Mountain Wrestling, WCW come to town a lot. We had Continental. We had a lot of rich history here. Right. And so I was constantly around it. And it didn't quite hook me right at first because I didn't really see it until, I was about 4 or 5. But once I saw it, man, and I saw these athletes who are really, superheroes that have really come to life, right? And they're real people. It drew me in instantly. And so I was hooked at a young age, grew up my whole life, and that passion, that fire never left. I had a lot of friends who, while we were growing up, they kind of get on the train, be a fan for a while, get plugged in, hyped up for events, and then they'd hop off, go to other hobbies, activities, that kind of thing. I was hooked from day one, and it never went away. Okay. I've been very fortunate to have seen a lot of good wrestling and a lot of bad over the years. We got a good blend here.
100%. So
yeah.
What was the defining moment that you said, "Man, this could be a full-time career for me"?
Yeah, I was in high school and I was watching it consistently. I wasn't involved in like sports at school because I was in a smaller county school close by, and we didn't have the funding for wrestling teams and stuff like that. So I was constantly just looking at pro wrestling. And around this time, this was when a lot of these documentaries and shows were putting things on TV to try to show how life is like to be a pro wrestler. Like Les Thatcher had the MTV My Life as a Wrestler thing, and there was a couple of others. And I saw one that had Chaotic Wrestling from Boston, Massachusetts in it. And this was Killer Kowalski was involved with the school at the time, and they were hopping up to school, and it looked like they had a pretty solid roster as well that they utilized on live events and such. So I called up there and said, "Hey, here's my situation. I'm 17 years old. I want to taste this business and see." And they let me come up for a week. And so my family, I was able to talk them into letting me fly up and train up there for a week. And I was fortunate enough to, meet Kowalski, but I was plugged in for the week with Tommaso Ciampa and Handsome Johnny, who at the time he was Handsome Johnny. Now he's Ivar in WWE. But I got to link up with those guys for a week just to really feel the business out. And I got beat up and bust up. And it really it made me that much more addicted to it, right?
Right.
Came back home bruised up, and I was like, man, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And so I was able to connect with Dr. Tom Pritchard after that. He
Yeah.
had just left WWE at the time. And so he opened up a little wrestling school, which his school now is 10 times better than what we were working with in
Right.
2005. But me and a guy named Devin Driscoll signed up, and we grinded with Tom for 6 months or so. And then I was hitting the roads with Rock and Roll Express and Tracy Smothers and Midnight. And those were the guys who kind of took me under their wing, and especially like Bobby Eaton and Ricky Morton,
Right.
and kind of just pushed me along to grow. And
So,
it spiraled
so
or snowballed.
you named probably one of the best tag teams, Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah.
So is that why you got into tag team wrestling specifically?
You know, when I was a kid, I was talking about how I started getting involved watching wrestling and getting hooked on it. I was always drawn to the tag team wrestling. I was always drawn to Midnight Express and Heavenly Bodies and Rock and Roll and Road Warriors and Fantastics. And that was I love singles wrestling too. I love watching Regal and Sting and whatnot. But man, the storytelling with the tag team wrestling, that's what really always hyped me up and pulled me in. So, and then, I guess training under Dr. Tom, then traveling with Ricky and Bobby and everybody, it kind of just becomes part of it, right? Because when you're traveling with Ricky night in and night out, and you're doing 6 nights a week, and most of the time you're doing tag team matches, that's kind of gets ingrained in your DNA at that point.
Yeah. So Damian Wayne's on here. He says much love. So
yeah, much love. He's always much love until he's across the ring from you, and then it's tough love.
He's I'll be honest, he's a tough son of a bitch.
Him and Vordell Walker are the two toughest guys in wrestling, in my opinion.
I watched one of the XIW shows I was at, and real quick, I can't remember who he was against, but he was put through he was supposed to go through a table.
Yeah,
and the table didn't break; it dropped.
Why would
it? Hit, yeah, right, and his neck hit the other table. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's not good.
So
not a good combination.
No, not at all. So tag team, the Heat Seekers, man. You and Elliot Russell have developed a strong tag team chemistry. Do you remember the moment you and Elliot knew what the real chemistry was? Did you remember that moment?
Yeah. So throughout the time that I've been in the business, which is 20 years now, right? I've always been kind of plugged into tag teams. I tagged with a couple local guys for a while. Then I tagged with David Young for about 3 years. And I was back doing my singles thing for a little while, and Elliot started traveling with me just as himself, right? And we were making a lot of towns together. And at the time, we were doing TCW TV down in the Gulf Coast area, Mississippi and Arkansas and such. And I was wrestling Elliot a lot, and I was getting hurt a lot. and he broke my nose one night. I think he dislocated my jaw. But we were clicking well outside of the ring too. But it was to the point where it was like, you're with me night in, night out. We agree on most of our philosophy and the approach towards the business, right? And I said, how about we try the tag team piece out? And so we did, and we started really kind of clicking together on it. And we were gaining a lot of steam. So now, right, today it's 12 plus years together. But I'd say 2016, right around then, is when we really started rocking and rolling, and we were doing, events where we're working Rock and Roll Express all the time at that point again, and Cornette's with us a lot at events, and so we really started getting some attention and started pushing for things like the NWA World Belts at the time, and right around then, 2016 is when it was like something's good here. I think we can make a little money off this.
Okay. So, is there any favorite memories of the Heat Seekers? Any particular matches or rivalries that stand out to you?
Yeah, I mentioned Rock and Roll Express, and as a kid, growing up watching rock and roll, it was always kind of that dream to wrestle them, right? And so like in the last goodness, I'd say 15 years, give or take. I've been tagging with Elliot 12 plus, but over the last 12 plus years, we've wrestled Rock and Roll Express more than any team in the last 20 years. And some of those matches have just been like you're standing in the ring, you hear the rock and roll's music hit, right? And they're coming to the ring, and you're like, what is this? We got to in Tennessee, there's Johnson City, Tennessee, where Smoky Mountain did a lot of good business, and one of the buildings was Freedom Hall, and so we got to wrestle Rock and Roll in Freedom Hall with Cornette in our corner for the Smoky Mountain tag belts. Cornette brought the tag belts from Smoky Mountain. That was a moment where it was like, what is life? Like, what's going on? Outside of that, though, there's so many good tag teams out there. We've had a lot of really good matches with, Ugly Ducklings and, oh goodness, I was thinking about, I don't know if you saw recently this week, the wrestler Joey Lynch, who's in a terrible car wreck, and they're raising funds to help him out. But I was thinking about just some of the matches we had with Lynch Mob.
Okay.
Which only certain people were able to see just because it was on small events and such. But we try to go out every night and have just solid matches with whoever we're locking up, linked up with, and I try to make every night a memorable one. So it's always special, man.
That's
Yeah,
awesome, man. So every tag team has its strengths, right? You have different strengths than Elliot.
yeah.
What do you bring to the tag team that makes you stand out?
Yeah. So I am the shorter powerhouse. I am the trying to think of what the fire hydrant is what some people call me, and
All right.
I'm the one too who I always get kind of the rough end of the deal when we're wrestling other teams. It's always me getting beat up a little bit, and then I'm able to get Elliot in there to start taking some advantage and get his size and strength going. So we have this chemistry to where we both know our weaknesses. Elliot's not going to be able to be the technical side of it. He's not going to be able to go hold for hold with everybody, but he's going to be the power guy, the tall strength, person. So we try to blend it as well and kind of meet wherever we need to on any given night.
In case we, you guys, any fans that don't know are the Heat Seekers.
Yeah.
Elliot's a big. You guys are both huge dudes, but here we go. There's the Heat Seekers. They had a match this last weekend. It looks
Yeah.
like. How did that go, man? How'd that match go?
That cage really needs to learn to work. It it was good. It was solid. We had a really good time there as ASW in Beckley, West Virginia. We had 1,100 people going crazy over wrestling. We were in a cage match, and it was a battle, but it went well. It went well, and made money, and I'm happy. And I was able to walk out not quite as feeling as good as I walked in, but pretty close to it. So I'll consider that a win.
Okay, anybody that's considering concerned of what that cage match looked like, here's a picture of the crowd, the cage match, the cage, and yeah. So
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I thought the footage should be up relatively soon from that event. It was really good. A lot of good matches on that.
as the Heat Seekers, as your tag team, what do you want to be remembered by? What would you and Elliot say? This is what I want to be remembered for.
Oh man, that's a good question. Um, from a fan perspective, I want to be remembered as somebody they love to hate, right? And I want to be remembered as the guys who really went out there night in and night out and worked really hard and produced really solid tag team wrestling, right? Um,
Right.
from a talent perspective, I want to be remembered as just myself, even not even thinking about Elliot. I want to be remembered as a guy who helped other talent elevate themselves and get to another level and just be able to be the guy who respected right for contributions of helping guys get better and just help people grow. So just producing good wrestling, true wrestling, and then just being that heater, man. The guys, nothing gets me more fired up than when I have a crowd in the palm of my hand and they're all hating on me. It's great.
All right. So when you say the whole package, is that promos, that storytelling?
Yeah,
that's everything, right?
Yeah. I I try to get everybody invested in everything we do, right? And it takes everything. It takes the whole package. It takes your look. It takes the in-ring talent, the in-ring work. It takes the promo skills and being able to just tell a story and take people on that roller coaster ride. So it does. It takes a whole package.
So is there a different approach psychologically from getting prepared for a singles match compared to getting prepared for a tag team match?
You know, yes and no. So at the end of the day, it is all wrestling, right? It is wrestling, and I try to be prepared for whatever situation we might get put in on any given night. That said, there are different pieces of it, right? So tag team wrestling, our cardio is a little different because I'm going to have those breather breaks when Elliot's going to be in there doing a little bit more of his thing, and I'm going to be able to stand and kind of regain composure on the apron. Singles matches, it's more of that go, 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 and you got to figure out how to pace yourself in a different way. And they're both a challenge because sometimes you get your heart rate up, you're elevated in a tag match, you tag out for a moment, you start to settle down. Well, then you got to get back in there and kind of get back moving again. And that can be a tougher challenge sometimes than when you're in a singles match and it is just go, 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 and you keep going. So it's different challenge on any given night, but they both take some effort.
Okay. Fair. That's a fair question. Fair answer. So what one aspect in wrestling is unappreciated by fans, do you think?
Say it again. So what one aspect is what?
Is unappreciated by fans or just even young talent coming into the business?
You know, there's actually a lot of pieces of the puzzle here, but I think one that comes to mind is fans, they don't see the whole thing, right? They don't understand oftentimes the sacrifices the guys have had to make to even be at that one event, right? Because we're stepping away from family and life to travel sometimes 8 to 10 hours or flights or whatever. So we're taking a lot of time just to even get to one event, right? And so they don't see that, and so it's underappreciated just because they don't know half the time. Outside of that, just the wear and tear on the bodies and stuff too. I mean, we are literally taking years off of our life by throwing ourselves down for a living, just being stupid. If you think about it, at the end of the day, we're not the sharpest knives in the drawer. So just being appreciative of the toll that we're taking on our bodies just to entertain is something that could be a little more elevated.
So the gangster in the house is who's in the house. Adrian whispers here. He says who's in the house. So I'm sure you know Adrian whispers. So I'm going to get right into it. This man says, ask your guest, Mr. Matt Sigmon, to tell me some good road stories because he said you have tons.
Yeah, I mean there's been many adventures over the years. I've been very fortunate, like I was saying, to travel with some of my heroes, right? And that's something that a lot of people never get a chance to do. You're always told to never meet your heroes, and there's been some cases of that, right? But fortunately, a lot of mine have actually turned out to be pretty solid individuals, and so that's led to just some really good adventures over the years. But I've been blessed too to travel all over the United States, all over Canada, China, Japan. And it's something that I never thought would be possible. I saw you had David Young on the show a few weeks ago, and I was just thinking about some of the misadventures that we've had together over the years too. And I was listening to him tell some stories, him and Chase and such, and I was thinking of just some of the predicaments and situations that he's put me in over the years. And fun little memories of being at gas stations and him getting in the car, locking the doors, and he starts pulling out, and I have to hop on the side of the car just to try to stop him, thinking he would stop before we got back on the interstate. But no, he just keeps going down the interstate, and so like I'm scared for my life going down the interstate with David just still going. But yeah, every day is an adventure, and there's a lot of fun out there. I was thinking about goodness, ribs that we've pulled over the years. I don't know. Are you familiar with Chase Owens? He's over New
Yes.
Japan and
Heard,
yeah,
yes.
Bullet Club and such. Um, we were in Canada, and Chase. I've wrestled Chase literally almost probably 1,000 times. We've traveled the world together. Love him like a brother. Um, he had just got the NWA World Junior belt, and they were going to take him to New Japan for the first time. So this would have been right before he really clicked in New Japan and really started. He's been there almost 10 years now or whatever. So this has been the start of that run. And we were doing a tour of Canada together, and we decided to pull a little rib on Chase. Short Sleeve Samson. Do you know Short Sleeve Samson?
No.
Okay, he's a smaller wrestler, miniature, little person. I guess would be the politically correct thing
Short
to say.
Sleeve Samson.
Yeah, amazing talent, wonderful talent, great guy. But so we decided to pull this rib on Chase to where we took the belt and we went out and we took promo pictures of Short Sleeve Samson holding the NWA World Junior belt, and we gimmicked him up, says new champion. We did all the graphics, right? So I sent them to a bunch of the NWA promoters at the time, and at the time Bruce Tharp was owner, and had them send it to Chase saying, "What is this? What happened? You've just screwed up your whole Japan job, whatever." And then we did while we're at the show, and Chase comes into the back and grabs Short Sleeve and just puts him up against the wall hot, thinking we had cost him his job. That was a fun rib that I was thinking about today when we were just talking about some road stories and stuff. So always trying to have fun, but never at the true expense of hurting somebody or really screwing things up for somebody. But always trying to have a good time because it gets boring on the road.
For that, I seen this on your Facebook post today. It was so yeah. I mean, this is just it says it all. Miles and miles and miles.
Yeah.
How do you not? You have to have that brotherhood.
Yeah.
And have to be able to have fun because you guys are on the road, away from families, giving up parts of your life that that us other people don't. And
right.
So I respect that out of you. And I seen that picture. I'm like, yeah, that's what it's all about.
I'll take those pictures from time to time because I say in those posts and stuff that's my favorite view in the world. There's nothing like it, and it really is because that's when I get to have that time to myself to think, to listen to music, to pray, to just unwind, right? And I was thinking the other day just how many millions of those little white lines that I've seen over the years just driving by. I've put over 1,000,000 miles at least on cars alone. We're not talking, and these are my cars. I'm not talking about when I've hopped in a car with somebody else or flown to events and such. So it's just crazy to think how many of those little white lines that I've seen over the years.
Yeah. No, I had an interesting run-in with Chase Stevens. You mentioned Chase Stevens, and
I love Chase.
Great guy. Yeah. But you'll find out on Saturday the 21st that I'm a fan, but I also do a podcast where I talk about the show, blah blah.
Yeah.
He screwed over Damian Wayne for some money, right? That's the storyline. Bounty on Damian Wayne's head.
Yeah.
Well, he was a tag team partner of Damian Wayne, and he backstabbed him because whatever. And I went off on him. I blah blah. He stepped over the barrier onto a table, and he stood there. I said, "Is that all you got?" Loud. And he looked at me. He walked back, and all of a sudden he chucked a water bottle past my face. I'm like, all right, I probably should chill out because I didn't know. But then you to talk to him afterwards. It was like he was just messing, and I'm like, then I hear stories. David Young told stories about him and Chase, and I'm like, okay, that's the kind of guy that was. But I've had
Chase,
a run in.
Chase is another. We're talking about true tough guys. Chase is a pretty tough guy. Chase was a Golden Gloves boxer, and
Yeah.
I've seen Chase hit guys and just knock them out cold, right? And they don't
Yeah.
even see it coming. And
Yeah. And I was like, I didn't want to be part of that.
no, you want to stay on Chase's good side if at all possible.
Yeah, I was like, and I think I crossed the line there. I'm like, oh shit, I better back off. So I did. But you wrestled in NWA, New Japan, and more.
Yep.
Do those locker rooms in NWA and New Japan differ a lot from the locker rooms in small independent shows?
Every locker room differs, right? Because you go to new places, and these are small independent companies from one to another, or large events, and whatever it might be. Um, they're all going to differ because there's going to be different environments that you're in, different situations. Some instances you might be filming TV, or maybe it is a one-off spot show kind of event. And so that's going to put different thought processes and mentalities going into the locker room. But you're also going to be in different areas where maybe you are the outsider, right? You're not one of the normal regular guys. You're coming in, and so there's already cliques or groups established, right? And so you're kind of you got to feel the water out a little bit before you jump right in. The thing about wrestling that I love, though, is no matter how different they are, I'm always trying to find common ground with wherever I'm going, or the locker room that I'm hopping into, and trying to find ways to where everybody is having a good time. And for the most part, I succeed. Some nights it's a little more tough
All
than
right,
others, but
all right,
uh, I think over the last 10 years too, I've seen locker rooms change a little bit. It's more. There's more camaraderie in terms of supporting each other and trying to elevate each other and push each other up, and have more of a good time. When I first broke in, it was a little more protected, which is not necessarily a bad thing. These are just changes, right? A little more cutthroat. Wrestling's still a cutthroat business. Everybody still is, at the end of the day, out for themselves for the most part. And they need to be, right? Because there's only so many positions where you can truly make money compared to how many talents there are even in the United States. You think about WWE, AEW, TNA. You've got 400 spots, give or take, for TV, and then you look around, and there are 8 to 10,000 wrestlers in the United States at any given time. So it's cutthroat still, but there is more encouragement and community push in the locker room than there used to be. So people are having fun and trying to make the most of it. World's crazy, man. The world is nuts, and wrestling is our escape. And so when we get there, we're trying to have a good time. We're trying to forget
right.
about all the chaos in the world. So
Yeah. So is it the dirt sheets? There's the rumors and the misconceptions. Is there
yeah,
a rumor or misconception about the heat seekers that you just want to clear up and say, you guys, just stop?
it's probably all true.
All right.
It's probably all true. No, we get in situations where people don't like us, right? And then sometimes maybe we've done something, rubbed somebody the wrong way in a locker room or otherwise. I try not to be that guy. I try, and honestly, true, over the last 10 years, tried to be a little kinder, even in locker rooms, to guys, just because I want to give back. I want to help the next crop of guys, right, become better wrestlers and such. So, but no, man, we're called the heat seekers because we're heat seekers, and there's likely something we've probably done to make you mad, and um, I'm never going to apologize for who I am.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
you know,
You wouldn't be a heel if you did, right?
right. So I'm sure we've rubbed some people the wrong way, but give us a chance, and we'll probably make up for it, or maybe we won't. I don't know.
Well, I was a big. I'm a big. I used to be a big face guy. I used to love the
Yeah,
faces, right? And then I fell in love with Hogan because he saved wrestling when he joined the NWO and stuff like that. But then we got up to the modern day where MJF, and I could not stand that guy. I was like, he's awful. And my brother, who helps co-host the show during the
yeah,
week, would say, "You hate him. If you hate him, he's doing his job.
right, yeah,
Heel, if you're heel needs. If you hate a heel, he's doing his job." And then I finally understood that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, now I get it. Now I love heels. I mean, that's my thing. I love heels. I mean, oh my god. So,
Somebody's got to do it. It takes two to tango. You got to be able to tell stories. There has to be good and evil to draw interest and money, and so somebody's got to do it.
so how do you see the current state of the independent scene in the United States today?
I mentioned a minute ago of just how I've seen locker rooms and stuff change and improve, and I've seen drastic improvements just over the last over 20 years. Right, I've seen it get better. I think overall people are trying to produce better quality events. I don't see as many outlaw events. Like when I first broke in, we were working 6 nights a week. We were doing Tuesday through Sunday. The only night we had off was Monday because no independents wanted to run against Raw. And I've seen that change too because guys are working 3 nights a month now, maybe once a week or so,
Yeah.
when it used to be 6 nights a week. So that's a change that I saw for the negative, I feel. We had a lot more opportunity to get in front of a live crowd, to learn, to grow, to be better wrestlers, and guys don't have that opportunity as much anymore. So that's one thing that has shifted that I wish would shift a little more back to what it used to be, in terms of availability. The other problem with that, though, is there's so many forms of entertainment right now. You can just pull out the phone and you're connected to whatever you want to watch, anything, right? So it's harder to draw people out of the house to sell tickets. It can be done. Promoting works, but you have to be willing to put in a pretty hard grind to make that happen. So um, overall, though, I think people are protecting themselves a little better. I think there is a better um, stance on body health and mental health and equality, just and those kind of things. Wrestling wise, quality's hit and miss. Without those opportunities to wrestle in front of a live crowd, you have guys that aren't as fluid or aren't as solid in the ring that they could be otherwise. So it's this balancing act that's kind of hit and miss. There's a lot good going on. There's a lot of bad.
So I'm gonna hit on an emotional thing. I took this from your Facebook as well, and
Yeah.
but the wrestling world has been hit hard by a lot of passings in the
Yeah.
last year, and one of them is Sabu.
Yeah.
And I know you said you share you didn't know him super well, but you worked events together and had the opportunity to do a Japan trip with him. Are there
Yeah.
any stories you could share with us about Sabu, your memories, and then we'll go on to XIW.
Yeah, Sabu. First of all, just the wrestler deaths in general. We were seeing them over the years just at a crazy high rate, and some of it's just from the wear and tear that they've put themselves through over the years, which is good that we're seeing that more protective state of the body and mental health. We're seeing, suicide rates have been pretty high in wrestling over the years, so that's another concern. Hopefully, that's something that we're able to get a better grip on and help and support each other in. Um, we've lost so many good guys over the last few years alone, and Sabu being the most recent as of like this recording. Sabu was fun. Sabu deserved a lot more in wrestling than I think he got, and he got a lot of. I mean, he was pushed to the moon in places, but he was such a fun character to work with and see develop. He was a very hardworking wrestler in the ring, very innovative. Um, and then he was crazy. I loved being around him, especially the Japan trip we did. You kind of never knew what was going to happen. We walked into a hotel. We were checking in, and this was one of the first days of the loop. And he was with Super Genie, who was his spouse at the time, or girlfriend, whatever. And he tells the hotel, he said, "I need a non-smoking room." And I was like, okay, well, so we all go to the hotel. 2 hours later, fire alarm goes off. He requested a non-smoking room, and then caught his mattress on fire, smoking in the
What?
room. Yeah, so we all had to like hop out of the hotel for a little bit so they could organize that. But I don't know. It was fun, and
Yeah.
he was so good to the talent, right? If you were one of the crew, like he was very willing to stand up and defend or help and teach. Great guy, great guy in
Awesome.
that regard. Yeah,
Awesome. So XIW is on the 21st of June.
yeah,
I don't know if you pay attention to XIW, if you've seen footage or not, but your opponent, I believe, is Steve Anthony.
yeah,
Yeah. So over the course of the time, he has the title there.
yeah.
I think
He
it's
sure does.
the middleweight title,
Middleweight title.
and he's been battling up against the Alabama badass, Trailer Park
Yep.
Trash, Bubba Shaddix. And if you see this, Bubba, I'm sorry, but I just call it like it is. But those have been some badass matches, and they put each other through hell.
Yeah.
And of course, Bubba's suspended because he lost his cool, blah blah blah. But now we have you going up against Steve Anthony.
Yeah.
Have you guys have a past? You guys have you guys faced each other before?
That's the cool part. This is honestly the reason that I took the booking. Um, in the last 12 years, I've had very few singles matches. Tag team wrestling is my life. That's my main focus. That's my drive. It will always continue to be. It takes something different, something special for me to step out of that tag team world and be willing to hop back into a singles competition. I met Steve in 2007 in Eldon, Missouri. We did a Harley race camp together. Harley race, and I think he always linked up with like New Japan or Noah, and so a lot of guys from all around the world coming to train, to learn, to grow, be better wrestlers. And Steve was there. Met Steve, and he at the time, just like I was, carving our names out, just really grinding, trying to train and be the best, and trying to find the best ways we could to stand out. Steve stood out because he, even at that time, was a hell of a wrestler, and he looked like a wrestler, and he acted like a wrestler, treated himself like a wrestler. And I watched him, just the passion that he put into it. And so over the years, I've seen him, throughout NWA and bouts in New Japan and doing his own thing and just grinding. And I've always respected that. Uh, he's rubbed me the wrong way at some events and such like that, right? But we've never had the chance to lock up.
All right.
And I'm constantly traveling with guys like Les Thatcher, who just keep talking about how great Steve is and how he's a hell of a wrestler and should be on TV night in and night out and would love to see us wrestle and see who's the better wrestler. And I'm honestly, I'm just kind of tired of hearing about that. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to come there to wrestle Steve. Then I find out that he's the middleweight champion there, so I can win a title at the same time
There you go.
and beat him. Just kind of leave him laying there disappointed and just show finally that I'm the better wrestler, the better man, and I've grinded harder and I've done my thing. So it's an opportunity to do that, and so I'm going to jump on that and make the most of it.
So what I hear you saying is Steve Anthony better watch his back and make sure he's ready for this event on June 21st, because you have plans of getting that title. Leave
Yeah,
him laying there waiting, going, "Oh, this is what it feels like to get my ass beat
I
and lose my
don't
title."
drive. I don't drive 12 hours to Florida to lose.
Mm.
I just don't.
Steve Anthony, you hear that? He's not going to drive 12 hours to lose. So I think
No.
either you better step up your game better than you have with Bubba Shaddix, because I think this man Matt Sigmon has a better, more prepared plan for you, and I'm intrigued to see this match. Just do me a favor. This guy popped in, and I just want to say, this guy popped in. John Saxon, called just Siggy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I call him Puppet Master. I call John Saxon Puppet Master. He's got these two guys, Sugar White and Jackson Slade, by the palm of his hands, eating out. But see, the problem is they're all losers. They haven't won a title. They lost titles under John Saxon, but not won it. So I say that to say this. Siggy, yeah, okay, John, you're cool, but don't let him get in your head and affect you in that match against Steve Anthony because I don't want to see you lose.
You know,
I just want to say that.
Saxon is a very, very smart person when it comes to wrestling. He's a very respected person in the wrestling business. I've had battles with John Saxon that are some of my favorite matches I've ever been in the ring with. So you can never count John out with whatever he's involved in. You got to always keep your eye on him because whatever he's doing, something good's going to come out of it. So
I'm going to say that, and you're right.
As long as John don't get in my way for any reason whatsoever, then we're great.
You're right. He is that guy that hangs around.
Yeah.
And he's smart. He is. I'm not saying he's not. He's a smart man, but he's that guy. He's that heel, and that's why I'm like he's that heel manager. And he comes out with this stupid, ugly hat with this vest that's like leopard.
A nice hat. I bet it's a good hat. I bet it's a good.
It probably is a good hat, but I'm just saying, it's just. But thank you, John, for coming on the show. So okay, we talked about what Steve Anthony should expect.
Yeah.
What should the fans expect out of Matt Sigmon at XIW?
Well, they're going to get true wrestling, right? There's no funny business with me. It's straight up pro wrestling. And at the end of the night, I told you I was coming there to Florida to win, and no shenanigans. It's just straight up going to be pure wrestling, and I'm going to out wrestle Steve, and I'm going to tie him up. Quite honestly, I'm going to tie him in a bunch of holds, and we're going to see what he's got, see how what he brings to the table. And I'm ready. I'm adaptable. I'm ready for whatever he's got.
John Sanders said this upcoming match with Sigmon and Anthony is one of them that he's waiting to see. I think the whole XIW roster, whole XIW crowd is waiting to see that. And let me tell you, this crowd at XIW at the Killing Fields in Panama City,
yeah,
they're a rowdy bunch of guys, man. They're a rowdy group. So
and it'd probably be a hot night. I know Panama's been
90 plus, man. 90 plus.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. We'll be sweating like crazy, and I'll be beating Steve as he's laying there in sweat and disappointment.
Adrian Whisper says, I'm definitely saying that match will get the best match of the night bonus. So,
I didn't know there was a best match of the night bonus, but that just stepped up my game a little bit more. Do I also get the bonus for beating him and taking the belt?
Right. So what happens at XIW, they have all their matches. They start with a great match. They have great matches all night long. Of course. Then they have the crowd gets to vote on the match of the night. And whoever wins the match of the night gets a bonus.
I love this concept. I had this concept at one other show. There was one other show in 20 years that's done this. And I wrestled Vordell Walker that night. And I couldn't walk the next day, but we got the bonus. So
Vordell Walker many times has gotten the bonus.
I'm sure he has.
He's a monster. So
he left wrestling for a little while to fight fires and stuff. And I said, those poor fires, they didn't know what was coming.
Right. So other than winning the title at from Steve Anthony, what's your long-term goal? Do you want to stay around and represent that title in XIW and defend that title on a show basis?
Absolutely. I don't see why not. I'll take the title, and then I'm all about the tag team wrestling. I said it takes something special to pull me out, so I'll eventually pull my partner in, and then I'll have that title, and then we'll get tag titles, and then we'll just keep stacking them. And then right here behind me, this is where I'll just start hanging stuff.
So what I hear you saying is sometimes in the future you'd like to bring your tag team partner Elliott and the Heat Seekers and take over XIW tag team titles.
I don't see why not.
I'll say this: XIW has a strong tag team division, and I love watching their tag team. So
we'll see, and it works out perfect because we need fresh guys to go up against.
That's awesome. So I hear Adrian Whisper, if you're here, John Saxon, he's got this man here, Matt Sigmon, wants to take the middleweight title, wants to come bring Elliott to the show and take the tag team titles, and in the back he'll drop those titles in the back wall to represent XIW like it's supposed to be.
That's right.
And if Adrian whispers, listen to this, holla, sucker, because this is what's going to happen, man. So,
Brother. I mean, we could just go ahead and ship me the titles, and I'll just go ahead and hang them up. I'll still show up and I'll still do the matches, but we might as well just,
just end it
do
there.
what needs to be done.
So how I'm going to name drop some guys. I don't know if you can from XIW. Let me know what you think if you met them and if you faced them. First of all, Adrian Whisper. What you have anything to say about the boss?
We've not interacted a whole lot yet, and I'm looking forward to getting there and seeing how the boss handles things. And from what I've heard, though, it's all good. So uh, excited to
Yes.
hop into XIW.
And I knew he'd say this. He said, "I can see it happening. You know, I make shit happen. You do, man."
See, there you go. That's it. Look, listen to that. He's already on the ball. This is great.
Yes, yes. So I mean, yeah, we had a hell of a tag team match last time. It ended up in chaos with Ray Fury and Lucha Lacora.
Yeah.
So there's some crazy stuff happening there, man. So that was
If Ray
that's
Fury's around, things do get kind of crazy.
yeah. So how about Bubba Shaddix? You ever met him?
I think I have. It might have been a little while, but it's been a hot minute, so it'll be good to kind of reconnect and see what's going on.
Jackson Slade.
Yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, there's some really solid talent that I mean, one after another here. We're rocking and rolling.
All right.
And I was looking at the poster, just some of the guys that are on this event coming up. Man,
Yeah, and I think it's Tyrus. Is it what's his name? It's that big monster that they're bringing in as well. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It is Thomas Russell.
Thomas Russell is a big dude. I don't know
That's
if
a
you've
big.
seen him.
That's
He
a
is.
big son of a bitch, man.
He's a massive dude, and I would be scared to be across the ring from him. He's one where I'd be tagging Elliot probably for a hot minute and letting Elliot try to take advantage of that situation first.
Yeah, so he'll be on my show Thursday night, next
Awesome.
Thursday. So I kind of the size of that guy, I'm kind of like freaking out, but we'll make it happen here. Damian Wayne, we already talked about Damian Wayne. He is probably one of in my opinion, I can say this. I would say he's probably one of the best independent wrestlers around.
He's great. He's great in the ring. He's great out of the ring. He's a good guy to have around just from a veteran status and one of the toughest guys, man. I've seen Damien go to war with Vordell Walker and Cahagas and and myself, Lord, Damien, we've had some battles of our own. So, yeah, great guy to have around.
I don't know if this is still happening down in XIW, but Saxon had a bounty on Damian Wayne's head.
Mm.
I just hope he doesn't convince you to interfere with any match with Damian Wayne because I would hate to see what Damian Wayne would do to you.
Mm.
I've never seen you in the ring, but that could be some interesting stuff. So
I'm always a man of opportunity. That's my favorite word. I'll just say that. I'm a man of opportunity.
if I read between the lines, Saxon, keep your hands off this guy. Keep your words out of this man's head. So one of the part of the shows I love to do is I do reach out to people that know you.
Yeah.
And I reached out to Devon Van Der Westenshuizen. I don't know if I said
Hey,
that right.
Devin Shooter. Yeah. He's a great talent from up in Canada. Great guy.
He said this to say he's a great wrestler, definitely one of the best I've shared the ring with, and definitely want his tag team and my tag team to lock up sometime. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts on their the Heat Seekers locking up with his tag team?
Yeah, Devin, he was originally from South Africa. He lives now in British Columbia, and he is a fantastic talent in and out of the ring. And he's tagging right now with Scotty Mack, who's a veteran from up there in the British Columbia area. And I've been able to share events with Scotty, and I've been able to wrestle Devin a couple places, but never together. So that's a match that I think would be fun to make happen, whether here in the States or up there on one of the Canada loops.
Then your tag team partner, said this. Elliot Russell. He's a very articulate, knows how to communicate in much more professional tone than myself. He also put together pretty much all by himself the Bobby Eaton Appreciation Night,
Hmm.
December 9th, 2019. Talk to us about the Bobby Eaton Appreciation Night.
Yeah, and quite honestly, you probably got if Elliot told you that, then that might be the nicest response Elliot's ever given anybody. So you consider yourself honored on that one.
All right.
The Bobby Eaton thing was a special night, man. It really was. Bobby helped me out so much in the business when I was first breaking in and over the years. And he was just a tremendous guy, not only to me, but to everybody that he interacted with, and Saxon included. Saxon did a lot of business with Bobby too. Um, but over time, he's helped everybody night in, night out, didn't ask questions, went above and beyond to try to assist in any way he could in and out of the ring. And he never got the recognition that he deserved. He should already, they'll eventually do it, but he should already be in WWE Hall of Fame with the Midnight Express with Cornette and Stan and Dennis. And they'll eventually get there, but they should have done it while he's alive. Um, I wanted, I hate seeing these things happen where the guys get older and then we lose them, and then we don't acknowledge or say how much we appreciate them till they're gone. That's something that bothers me tremendously about this business. So I wanted to do something different, and I wanted to have a night that was just about Bobby. And Bobby had a lot of good business in Knoxville, Tennessee. He wrestled Flair there for the belt and WCW at one of the Clash of the Champions, which was 30. Goodness, yeah, I think it's today. Like today's the anniversary of
Really?
that, like 34 years ago, something like that, which is funny coincidence. But um, so I wanted to do something special. So we put together a night of wrestling. We aired it on Fight TV. You can still watch it on there. Great wrestling from top to bottom. Had guys involved on the show and through videos and such. Steve Austin and goodness, Barbarian, William Regal, Ricky and Robert. I mean, tons of Cornette. You know, Cornette was there, helped me run everything. But what we did was we got all these guys together, all these friends of Bobby's, and we gave Bobby all the money, all the every bit of it, the gate, the sponsors, every little bit of it, and just as a thank you, right? And I think that's something that we need to do more of in wrestling for some of the guys who have been so kind to the rest of us and help pave the way. So, yeah.
Hey, James Beard.
Hey, is James Beard here? I love James Beard. Where's he at?
That's from John Saxon. So the last thing your partner said is last thing, anytime I pick someone up to power slam an opponent setting up our finisher, as I take
Yeah.
Sigmon, he says, take him out there, meaning the slam of the opponent as far as possible away from him so he can see how far he can jump. So I take it you're the high flyer.
That's the only piece of high flying you're going to get out of me each night is the flying head button. When I do it one time, it's over. It's done. That's it. That's it. But I do like that challenge, right? Because it's always we're in different size rings. We're around. I see James Beard said, "Hey, Sig, one of my favorite people." James Beard is one of the best people in this business, bar none. Period. One of the best referees, one of the best people in the locker room. Let me just say that. But I do love that challenge. If when Elliot slams somebody, I like to see how far, and just even to challenge myself to see if I can actually make it. Because sometimes we're in these 20-foot, 22-foot. I mean, we've been in some crazy ones, and it's always fun to see how far I can go.
All right. Steve New says, his one question is, explain the importance of wrestlers protecting their gimmicks with trademarks.
Yeah. Steve New, he doesn't get enough credit for all he's done for wrestling in general too. He's not a wrestler. He's plugged into the business just being a supporter, and he's a wonderful attorney. And a lot of guys don't understand how important it is to protect yourself and to protect your brand, because we're in this cutthroat business, right? And I don't need anybody else calling themselves the Heat Seekers. And so Steve, I met him through doing events in West Virginia, and he was Cornette's attorney, and we became friends. And he ended up, helping us do the whole trademark deal for the Heat Seekers, and he helped me with some other things with Bobby and Midnight and stuff too. But it's come in handy, right? Because there's been a couple of events that say they're Heat Seekers or kind of get confusion going. There's been other talents calling themselves Heat Seekers, just kind of starting up, and we're not. I don't try to be mean about it, right? But I don't want any confusion around our brand. So just trying to protect that. And Steve has done a really good job of that with us, and I think more talent need to look into that, and just to because this is our life. This is how we make money, and we don't want anything to interrupt that.
Yeah. So, would you ever be in favor of a wrestlers union?
And I've talked to Steve about this extensively. I think there's a lot of pros to what could be. I'd love to see how it could be presented and how it could be laid out. I think it does a lot of good for entertainment in general. With like the Screen Actors Guild and stuff. Um, I think it is trickier in wrestling, but I would love to see what it could do for the business and have those conversations.
Okay.
And maybe in the next few years that could be something that is brought to the table, and time will tell. But I would be highly interested in seeing the positive aspects that it could give and provide.
Okay. I cannot tell you who said this. I didn't even write their name on the pit thing. But this question was said, and it says, "But do not tell him I asked."
Oh,
Who do you think is the best manager in the independent wrestling in the region? Don't be thinking about who said it.
yeah. Um, there's a lot of good managers. Elliot, myself, we've got a really good manager out of the Carolinas named Steve Fry. He's done a lot of good business in the Carolinas over the years and Virginia area and stuff. And he's been a fantastic guy to have in our corner. Up in the West Virginia area and beyond, we have a really solid guy named Danny Ray in our corner. He's helped produce a lot of good talent too from up that way. Trained Jamie Noble and a few guys like that. And man, but they're being a solid manager, a true good manager is a lost art because you have to be able to know how to truly connect with the talent that you're representing. You have to be able to connect with the people. You have to know your moments of when it's time for attention to be on you and time for not attention to be on you. And a lot of guys don't get that. So
Okay.
there's a lot of good ones out there though. And I wish more. There's so many guys that want to be wrestlers too. And that's awesome that they have the passion for it. But sometimes they don't understand just how valuable they could be in another role like managing.
Okay. So now I enter the funny questions and then the closing questions. So
Yeah, let's go.
up a funny question. You probably I don't know if I use this one for David Young, but you talk promos when you're walking when you're going through a drive through and ordering. You ever talking promo voice?
Uh, Not so much at a drive-through. That would be a fresh one. I'd give it a try. I would love to hear some promos as we go through drive-through. I've seen some guys get mad enough and start cutting a promo on people at restaurants and such. But yeah,
What hurts more, a steel chair or stepping on Legos?
the Legos. Um, the Legos, you're kind of in control there of that body weight going on to them, and most of the time you don't see them coming, so they're going to hurt a lot worse. Depending on who's got that chair, I may be bumping a little early.
All right. So have you ever had any bizarre fan requests?
Yeah. There's some really creative, passionate fans out there
Okay.
that enjoy some off the wall things, and I'm not one to fully judge there. To each their own. I don't fulfill certain requests, but we do get them from time to time for pieces of gear and just odd ins and outs of whatnot. But yeah,
All right.
there's some tricky ones.
So on June 21st, if I stepped up to you and challenged you to a match on that day, how long
Mhm.
would I last? How long would I last?
Well, see, I'd have to agree to the match first, and if I'm not getting paid for more than one match because I'm already wrestling Steve Anthony, then I'm likely not going to do it. But if I was going to be getting paid for that match, and you stepped into the ring, and then I don't know, I give you a solid minute.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So if this interview was your last promo ever,
Mm.
what would your final words be?
Oh man, that's a tough one because it could be. You never know. We're never guaranteed tomorrow, right?
All right.
Um, my last words, my final promo. whoever's listening, go out, continue to support the business. There's a lot of really good wrestling out there and a lot of things you might not have seen before that's different than what you're watching on TV. So go out there, support independent wrestling, and treat each other better.
Okay. Quick fire question. Favorite finisher?
Favorite finisher? Oh, of mine, it's the flying headbutt. Of all time, oh gosh, oh man, it gets a lot of flack, right? But when I was teenager and Goldberg picked a guy up for the jackhammer, especially if it was like a big dude, the crowd's going bananas, and that energy was just electric. That was always cool to see. Stunner's a great one too.
All right. Favorite town to wrestle in?
Tokyo, Japan, bar none.
All right. One dream match, tag team dream match that you have to have before you retire.
FTR.
Sure. That's
Yeah,
like,
it's
yeah.
that those are two guys that we see wrestling a lot the same, and I've wrestled them both individually before they started doing the tag, but we've never linked up since I've been tagging with Elliot, and I think that would be a good one, just to even if it was a one-off, just to kind of honor the guys who paved the way before us.
Okay. So if you can tell the fans of XIW,
Mhm.
what can they expect from Matt Sigmon and the Heat Seekers in the future?
Mm. Well, I think that middleweight title is what they're going to be able to expect coming up very soon, right? But if we're talking heat seekers, you expect the unexpected. You never know what we're going to bring to the table, and we're going to do whatever it takes, night in and night out, to get the job done. So, and at the end of the night, too, we're passionate about pro wrestling. Nothing more, nothing less.
Awesome. So if you could cut a promo on anyone right now before we close the show, who would it be and why?
Mm. I'd probably cut a promo on the guy who put together my kitchen sink at the moment. The spray head quit working today, and so that would probably be the one. It'd probably be pretty fiery too, quite honestly. Just a little bit more effort on his part would need to be enacted.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on the Huge Pop Wrestling podcast tonight.
Yeah.
If I had to ask you, do you have any closing remarks for the fans or the roster that you're going to come up against in XIW on June 21st?
The roster, I encourage them to sit and watch the match I have with Steve Anthony, because that'll give them a taste of what we deliver, and it'll also be something that they can learn from. The fans, get out, enjoy the event, and go to my pro wrestling tees page and buy some Heat Seekers merch.
There you go. So I appreciate you, man. I appreciate that hanging out for the last hour with you.
Yeah, man,
Um,
this is great.
some good stuff. Thank you, Adrian Whisper, John Saxon, James Beard, and all those guys that came in. Damian Wayne, thank you guys for coming and supporting us always. And that's one thing I can say about XIW, that real talk, right? Um, XIW is hardcore wrestling. They have a hashtag real fight shit because that's what it is. But on the same note, they they welcomed me 3 years ago into the family, and it's been a crazy ride since. I've seen a lot. It's been fun. It's been awesome, and you're coming into a good promotion. You're gonna have a lot of fun, and I want to see you beat the hell out of Steve Anthony for sure.
I do too. I do too. And I'll say this about the XIW piece. Um, it takes a lot for me to step out of that tag team environment, like I was saying, and that the big part of that is to wrestle Steve Anthony. But it takes a lot for me to be willing to drive somewhere and to put my body on the line, regardless of whoever I'm going against. I'm very selective. I'm picky and choosy. I like being at home. I have a good family. I don't like leaving them. And so just being around the people that I know that are involved in XIW are top class, and so that's something that I appreciate, and that's something I'll go out of my way for.
They are definitely a great promotion. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna close the show, Mr. Matt. Please do not go anywhere. Don't log off. Um, Adrian was for bringing a star to a star-studded roster. Absolutely, it does sound like it, man. Couldn't agree with you more, Adrian. I'm looking forward to the 21st. I'm looking forward to meeting you on the 21st.
man.
Looking forward to stopping by your merch table.
That's
Who knows
good.
if I get on it fast enough, I might have to come in with a Mark Sigmon shirt, the Heat Seeker shirt, and that'll really piss off Steve Anthony.
Yeah,
But
we got it.
but yeah, but don't go anywhere, sir. I'm gonna close the show. So thank you guys for watching the show, everybody. Even those that are gonna watch it on YouTube, and please hit the follow button on our YouTube channel and our Facebook channel. I can't say thank you enough for everything that you guys have done. But before let's shoot through these. This is a match that we're gonna see on June 21st. Steve Anthony and Matt Sigmon. That's gonna be a hell of a match. Watch it on this YouTube channel. You'll see it. It's gonna be live streaming across the Huge Pop Wrestling Network. And I thank you again for taking the time out for us. And like I said, at Huge Pop Wrestling, we're always for life.